Hello and welcome to the Happiness Is podcast with me, your host, Bruce Aitchison from Happiness Egg Shaped. And I say at the start of every podcast that I'm excited, and today is no different. I am excited because I am speaking to somebody from Clubland who is absolutely bonkers and has taken on an amazing challenge for an amazing cause. He is quite a guy. He's one of those people I feel like I know because of social media, but we've only actually met on these things, this screen thing. But I hope very, very soon when he embarks on this challenge that I'll get to meet him face to face in person, and I might even join him for a little bit. But I do have a reputation for joining on the glory lap, so I'll have to ask permission. He's all over social media. He is raising money and awareness for great causes. He is a top man, and I'm really looking forward to speak to him. So let's bring him on, Mr. Tim Tunnicliff. Hello, sir.
Hello, Bruce. Really good to see you, and thanks for having me.
I'm delighted to have you. Now, let's just cut straight to the chase. You run and raise awareness and raise funds, and you've decided to come north of the border, which I'm very excited about. But let's go back to the beginning. Tell me where this came from.
Well, it's quite a long story, I guess, but after I finished playing, I was looking for something to keep me active and keep me fit and healthy. And I'm nomadic, so I don't have a home base. So I chose running. It's a great way to go and experience new places, explore, and it just became a bit addictive to me. So I started, and then I kept going, and suddenly I was running, quite a long way. And all the while thinking, I'm missing my rugby. I'm missing my rugby clubs. So I tried to put the two things together and try and do some good as well. And that's how the Great Rugby Run was kind of born. The inaugural run was last year when I ran from Land's End to London via 104 rugby clubs over 5 weeks. And it was an incredible adventure.
There's so much of this I have issue with. I needed something to substitute for rugby. Not many rugby players choose running. Now the fashionable thing is let's get lycra'd up and get on a bike. You decided to run. And then I love your comment that suddenly you were running far. Nope, I'm not having that. Nobody suddenly runs far. You obviously have an engine. You obviously enjoy the experience and the feeling it gives you. How has that inspired you to then go and do these good deeds?
Well, it came from a few people. I guess Eddie Izzard was the original inspiration to me. Just seeing what he did with marathons based on no training as well. I was like, wow, humans can do that. It seemed bizarre, particularly to me at the time as a non-runner back then as well. And then a few other people I followed, a guy called Ross Edgley, who does all kinds of crazy challenges, swimming, running, all kinds of different things. And again, that was a massive inspiration. And then it actually all came together via somebody called Anna McNuff, who is a adventure runner, traveler kind of person. And she did a similar trip where she ran from Girl Guide huts to Girl Guide huts around the UK. And that was when the idea came together that I could do running with rugby clubs and base it off that. So, yeah, it was a lot of different inspirations that all came together, really.
That's brilliant. I love that story. Now, I remember watching the documentary about Eddie Izzard, and he not only did he have no training, he had no knowledge of anything. And his mate, I think, was his support team, and the boot of the car was just filled with Mars bars and chocolate. And then he realized, oh, hang on, you actually need to put the right fuel in. So this is more than just you running. There's obviously a lot more to this. What goes into the planning of a big event like this?
Right. Well, initially, obviously, you need to work out your training plan, and that is not straightforward. But over the years, you kind of work out how your body works and how you adapt. That being said, I got myself injured a couple of times last year just because I raised the intensity or the volume rather too quickly. So I'm trying desperately to avoid that this year. I'm right at that crux point at the moment where the volume's going up and like the body's starting to creak, but I'm staying on the right side of it. In terms of organisation, honestly, it was tough last year. I actually found the organisation harder than the running. I feel like I'm a fairly natural runner, but organisation, not so much. So that was the tougher thing for me. In terms of nutrition, honestly, I just take what I can get.
There you go. There's the rugby player speaking.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it. So previously you've done this Land's End to London, and I tracked it. I was watching you on social media, and in awe. I have to be honest. I just love it, and that you were going to rugby clubs. That community, we talk about a lot the rugby family and that community. You've experienced that in an amazing way. What was it like?
Well, cut to the chase, it was the highlight of last year's run. I knew I was going to enjoy the running. I knew I was going to enjoy visiting the clubs, but being hosted by rugby people every night and people just being so kind and looking after me. And then another important part of this is getting my big bag, like I have a bag full of kit and various bits and pieces. That needs to be driven from one day to the next. And yeah, it was just amazing. People were so kind and so helpful that it blew me away, to be honest. And like I've said before, it was the real highlight of last year's run, was meeting all those people across the country. Just generous, lovely folk. And I hope I've championed them on my website. I've put pictures up and told stories, because they've just, they were the best, and it just really made it for me.
And it's an amazing thing, because no disrespect, but you've not got the caps or the medals or the profile that some people have. So to be welcomed in, it's the bit I love. It's you're one of us, you're doing something bonkers that none of us are going to do, but what we can do is help you a little bit along the way. So when you look back on that and then you look ahead to what's coming, what lessons have you learned?
Well, the first thing, I guess, is trying to get rock solid contacts in the various sections of the country, because there were some. So, for example, last year, I nailed the first week. I got everything sorted for the first week, and I just assumed that, as long as I'm a week ahead, that will be fine. What I didn't realize was that the running and the organization was going to take up literally all of my time during that first week. So I got to day 8, and at that point I had nowhere to sleep that night. So it was then a case of every single day I was sort of hustling and trying to find the person and the clubs. Getting in contact with rugby clubs is actually quite a difficult thing to do. Various, different Twitter feeds, Instagram DMs, or Facebook page, or whatever. It wasn't the easiest. So that was definitely my learning. So this year is try and make good contacts early. And I've done that so far. I've made some really good contacts at clubs around Scotland, still looking for more. So I'm going to be in touch with all the clubs that I plan to visit this coming week. So yeah, it'd be great to hear from people.
Right. Okay. So let's jump to now. You've done that. You've been inspired. You've started running. You've then decided, I'm going to do some good. The Land's End to London was for what cause?
It was for mental health charities, 4 different ones actually, 3 of which were directly involved in rugby, and another one which is a more men's mental health. Those are Give a Ruck, Loose Heads, Brave Mind, and Blokes. Yeah.
Awesome. And lots of good people involved in them. So now, well, let's go. The charity, I think's a giveaway. What charity are you going to be doing this new one for?
It's going to be for the My Name's Doddy Foundation. And I'm very happy to be doing that.
And being a rugby person, the choice of that charity was easy, was it?
Yeah, pretty easy. I mean, there is a personal story behind it as well. One of my former teammates very sadly passed away last year as a result of MND, after got a good 6 years of battling it and raising funds as well himself. That was at Cheltenham Rugby Club, where I played my junior rugby, and I went back there for his wake, which was actually halfway through the run last year. So I took a train up to Cheltenham and back mid-run. And it was there that I met Jill Douglas, who is, I'm sure you know, the CEO of the My Name's Doddy Foundation. And, we chatted. So those things combined alongside visiting Scotland, it was an absolute no-brainer.
Yeah, Jill's a magnificent lady and was rewarded by the Queen for all her efforts, which was much deserved. So you're coming north of the border. Is that because this is where is home for Doddy?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, the run's going to start on the 7th of September, I think. And I took a little while to try and figure out which route I was going to do and all the different logistics and things like this. But once I came to the decision to finish at Melrose, which is obviously Doddy's club, everything fell into place then, and it all seemed to make sense. I was struggling a little bit for a little while to get things organised, but we're there now.
And we chatted a little while ago, and we went through the route, and I got very excited and took up far too much of your time telling you about the clubs. So let's talk a little bit about the route. So you start on the 7th of September, where?
At Oban Lawn RFC over there in the West Highlands, and that's because there's a good friend of mine that's a member of that club, who I coached with in Africa for a period of 3 months, good 6 years ago now, I'd say. So I was very keen to go up and see him and start at his club, and then I've got a couple of days where I'm looking for rugby people between there. I think is it down Mali I go to next, and then down Loch Lomond, where there aren't any rugby clubs as far as I'm aware. So I'm looking for rugby people or rugby things in that area.
Right. Well, let's get to this. Let's get some. We'll get this out on social media, and we'll make sure that we're looking after you. So you're coming up to start at Oban. Great people. Magnus Bradbury, who's just moved to Bristol's an Oban boy. His mum Dee was the first female president of a tier 1 nation. So I'm sure Dee will be there speaking to people who are bonkers. Good luck with that one. Dee will sort things out for you. So you're going up there. You crisscross Scotland. You're all over the place. You're through Glasgow, you're into the Central Belt, you're across to Stirling, you end up in Edinburgh, and then you come to God's country into the Scottish borders. Is there any, I mean, there's clubs there that you've never heard of before. Are there any clubs that have excited you? Is there anyone you're going to single out that you're excited about visiting?
Well, I've got to say, the clubs I've visited, got in contact with so far, Haddington, have been absolutely magnificent. They're going to run a fundraising barbecue that afternoon. I think it's their minis and juniors and Colts section that day. So they're planning a fantastic thing that day, which is, charging onwards, completely independent of myself at the moment, which is just fantastic. That's what I like to see. And Melrose as well for the finish have just been really, really warm and welcoming. And yeah, there's going to be a few surprises, hopefully, on the last day, which will, give a good finale.
Nice. Haddington, good people, good community club, and they've done quite a lot for Doddy and for MND. There's a lot of good people there, Richard Scott and Keith Wallace and guys like that'll look after you, I'm sure. And then to finish at Melrose, the history of the home of Sivens and Doddy and Jim Telfer and Craig Chalmers and all these people, I'm sure it's going to be amazing. What then is the fundraising? How do we go about supporting the fundraising?
Okay, so my website is there on the screen, the Great Run of ruggerrun.org, and there's a donation button on there. So it goes to a Just Giving page. I'll make that very clear today. It'll be right at the top of the website. There's a Just Giving page, and I've set a target of 10 grand, Bruce. So let's see how close we can get to that.
Nice. And through all this, you then get to visit clubs and you get to raise a bit of awareness for MND. You're taking a long time here. You start on the 7th of September and you go to the 1st of August. You're going to need some personal support. Where's that going to come from?
I'm not sure really. It's going to come from the clubs. That's what I'm hoping. It worked last year, and I'm sort of reaching out to the rugby family to, hopefully that will be the case again this year. Like I said, I've made some good contacts already, so I'm just hoping that will follow through. Now, I mean, the ins and outs of the runs is that I'm going to be running every single day. It's going to be 500 miles, so that's an average of around about 20 miles a day. So it doesn't leave too much room for other things. But when I visit the clubs, I really want to go and meet the members of the clubs and see people. And as I know, last year I recorded some videos around the clubs, which are just a nice little showpiece for people to be able to get into the clubs and see the characters and things like that. So I'd love to do that at every single club I visit this year, if possible. And it's going to be, I don't know, it's looking like 75 clubs, I think, something along that sort of line. It'd be great to see people at every single one.
That's amazing. Now, if you come to Scotland and you do 500 miles, please tell me you've been in touch with the Proclaimers.
I haven't as yet, but I feel like I should. Have you got an interview?
You need to start getting on to them on Twitter. One of them actually lives just round the corner from me. I've been far too scared to ever actually speak to him. Believe it or not, I do have. There is a button there that switches off, and I've seen him at the bus stop and I've seen him in the co-op, but I've been too chicken to speak to him. But that would be funny if you got the Proclaimers there. So rugby is at the centre of all this. This has been the thing. Your rugby life, you've played, you've been out to Africa, and you've coached. What is it about this game that grabbed hold of you?
I mean, initially, I wasn't really a rugby fan when I was a kid. I was a football lad, but then I went to a senior school where rugby was the sport, certainly before Christmas, and I was big then, and I got a love for it very early doors because it was, to be honest, it was quite easy at that point. But then it grew, and as it does, and the teamship and the friendship that you get from it is really the key thing. So even though I'm not playing anymore, and although I can't be involved in a single club directly, I'm still getting that from doing this great rugby run once a year, and just the rugby spirit and the rugby camaraderie really is just what I love about it.
And mates that you've played with and been involved with in club rugby, do they hold the same view as me, that you're absolutely off your chump?
Yeah, pretty much. And here's something I haven't told you yet, actually, which last year I visited Exeter Chiefs on the run there, and I met your national captain, and he called me a maniac as well. So
Yeah.
I mean, there must be something in the blood up there.
Yeah, Hoggy's a pretty good judge of character, I would have said. Yeah, there's a lot of good people at Exeter Chiefs. We've got a little Scottish kind of missionary group down there looking after things. So the Great Rugger Run comes to Scotland to support and to raise funds and awareness for Doddie's Foundation. I'm imagining this is not the last run you've got up your sleeve.
Correct. Yeah. So when I came up with the concept in the first place, I immediately thought this would be something that I could potentially do year on year if I enjoyed it, if I loved it, if it felt like beneficial to other people as well. And it ticked all those boxes. So that's why it's happening this year in Scotland, and that's why it will almost certainly happen again in the future. To be decided where and when, but I see it being an annual event, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I reckon you need to get this on Sport Relief. How about, right, so you got to do Wales, you got to go around Ireland, and then when you leave these shores, if you could go anywhere and do your Great Rugger Run, where would you choose?
Well, bit of an exclusive here, Bruce. I'm thinking maybe actually next year will be the year when I leave these shores, because I'm thinking maybe France during the World Cup might be a good idea. But we'll see. That's just an idea at the moment.
That would be a spectacular idea. You're like rugby's Forrest Gump.
That's going to be my strap line from now on.
I reckon, yeah. If you're going to do France for the World Cup, then the USA has got to be a long-term target to go and do it round there. That would. Good luck running across America. That's more than 500 miles.
Maybe just one coast or the other. Yeah.
Try and find where all the rugby venues are really close together.
I
absolutely love it.
Forrest Gump, though, Bruce. A load of people started running with him, and it's one of the things I really encouraged last year as well. If you want to come and run, a mile a day or whatever or longer, then it'll be great to have you with me. And it was amazing. I had a few people run with me on the first day and towards the end last year, and it was great to get a little gang of us and head on out together. So if you want to come and run, and I know you're going to lace up your trainers as well, Bruce, so definitely come and join me.
That's an absolute stitch up, Tim. That is an absolute stitch up. I was telling you last week, O'Ness Rugby Club did a fundraiser for Doddie, and it was a pedalo around a lake. And I showed up, and they were all standing waiting because I'd missed it all, but they'd saved the last lap for me. So I now get abuse from them for just being there for the Glory Hunter last lap. So that could well be me running into the green yards with you just to get my picture in the paper. The foundation are still giving you lots of support.
Yeah, they've been absolutely great. I reached out to them quite early, and they put me in contact with a load of people. One of which was you, actually, Bruce. Yeah, even though we'd already made contact, and they've been super helpful and just very supportive in everything that I'm doing, and Haddington as well have reached back to them, and yeah, it's all working very nicely at the moment.
I just hope you get weather. I mean, coming to Scotland, there is absolutely no question you're going to have to deal with some kind of weather. So it's a roughly 20 miles a day. Having somebody alongside you for some or all of that would obviously be a big lift for you.
100%, yeah. It's I'm used to running on my own. I quite like it. I like the solitude, and I get into my own mind. But yeah, I mean, the days last year when I had people with me were the more memorable ones, I should say. And they certainly they probably went a little bit quicker, probably felt a little bit less painful. So yeah, having people with me, especially, you know, rugby folk. Let's get some rugby folk out there, because I want to encourage people to, you know, get into running or fitness or whatever it is you want to do, and just getting outside is, you know, I find it incredibly helpful for my fitness, but also my mental health as well, which is one of the reasons why, you know, I dedicated last year's run to mental health charities. So yeah, I'm just hoping to encourage and inspire a few people along the way as well.
It sounds spectacular. I was actually going to ask you about that, because last year you had those 4 mental health charities, and you've said how it makes you feel. You're doing a few things to make you feel good. There's the running aspect, which physically I hope helps, but mentally it's outside. You're seeing different things, different stimulus, time in your own head, time daydreaming, no doubt. But also that feeling of helping others gives you that warm, fuzzy feeling inside, but it's good for the mental health. So there's so much you're doing here that others can take inspiration from. Have you had anybody reach out to you from previous to say thank you, or I loved that, or I've kept it going?
Yeah, you know, actually I have, and that's another reason why, you know, I brought it on to this year, is that a good number of people have reached out and said, you know, just seeing you posting your runs every day on Facebook or Strava or wherever they see it, it just, you know, it is helping people to go, oh, yeah, I could be doing a little bit more here. And I remember when I did that last year and I enjoyed it. Let's get out again. So, and a few people that I know have actually started running for the first time as well, which just makes me feel amazing. Like I love the fact that I've managed to inspire a few people to do that. It's a handful of people, but you know, it all helps, I think.
I'm not going to lie to you, Tim. I'm ready to delete you from everything, because I'm sick of it. It does the opposite for me. But I've invited you on here, so that's my payback. So Tim, we're building towards it. We're looking at the 7th of September for the starter's gun to go off, and then you're going right through to the 1st of October. It's an amazing thing. It's for Doddie's Foundation, which is dear to myself and a lot of the people that listen and watch this. As we get towards the end, Tim, give us that rallying call. What do you need? What would you like? What's the aspiration? What's the objective? The stage is yours, my friend.
Awesome. So, I mean, the things that I need to make the run a success, to actually physically work, are places to stay. So I'd love to be hosted by rugby people around the country. If you could drive my bag between stops, you know, on every day or every other day or whatever, that's another massive help. Being at your rugby club when I'm sort of passing through, to give me a cheer and a wave, and to maybe we can record the videos that we recorded last year. That would be awesome as well. You know, last year I visited a lot of rugby clubs that I already knew because I've played at them over my career in the south of England there. Coming up to Scotland, I don't think I've been to a single rugby club that I'm going to visit. So that's super exciting for me to get into the clubhouses, see the differences, see all the different cultures and memorabilia and the characters, and find out the stories. So I'm really looking forward to that as well. So if you can follow me on Twitter, which is on the screen right now, at Rugger Run, then all the details of where I'm going to be and when will definitely be on Twitter. And yeah, just get involved, donate if you can, come out and run if you can. And yeah, it would be great to see you. And I can't wait to get up there to Scotland on September 7th.
You are, I said it, you're off your chump. You're absolutely bonkers, but I love it. And we need people like you, because you do inspire us and you make us feel better. Tim, I love speaking to you. You're so positive. I love looking at your stuff, because it's always with that smile. It's always with a smile, which makes me think the thing you're doing must be good. So I asked people to do this. I didn't tell you this, Tim, but I'm going to ask you to finish the sentence, and I'm intrigued as to where it will go. So for you, Tim, happiness is?
It's striving towards a goal.
Nice.
Yeah,
Well,
I love to feel like I'm heading for something, you know?
Well, you definitely are. Hopefully you're headed for Melrose. I'm hoping you get to Melrose. And please, please, please pack your thermals, pack sun cream. Just, you got to be prepared. Like 4 seasons in one day here, I promise you. Especially when you go to Oban. Oban's always wet.
Yeah.
It's always wet in Oban. But you're going to visit.
Spray? Are the midges going to be out that time of year?
Yeah, midges will be out, and they'll be after your Sassenach blood as well. So yeah, I'd be very careful with that one, mate. You're visiting great people, as you know, last week we went through the clubs and I took far too much of your time because it just gets me excited. There's going to be a whole lot of people to look after you, and hopefully after people hear this, you're going to get this bits and pieces of support that you need. I can only wish you luck, my friend, and I'm really looking forward to meeting you in person. So between now and then, I hope the organisation goes well and all the very best.
Bruce, thank you so much. A real pleasure. And thank you for, sharing this with your audience. It's a real boost for the run, hopefully. And yeah, can't wait to meet you in person too.
Yeah, I'll be there at the finish line. Thank you, my man.
Bye-bye.
You got to love it, right? He's doing it for the cause that we all love. We've been here before. We've spoken to people specifically about the foundation. Doddie's been on. We did all that nonsense through Doddie Aid, and Tim is keeping it going. So he's coming to Scotland. People, get involved. He's going from Oban to begin crisscrossing the country, and he finishes off in Melrose, the home of Doddie, on the 1st of October. If you can get involved, please do go and visit. Follow him on Twitter. Donate pennies if you can afford to do so. If you can get along to your rugby club, and even if you're not a member, get along, go and join, go and see what's going on. I promise you, when Tim's there, he'll light the place up. He is a fantastic man doing good things for a good cause in the memory and of a great guy. Love it. Absolutely love it. There'll be more from Tim and more from me. If you've enjoyed it, you can get us on Apple, Acast and Spotify. You can watch on Facebook and YouTube. My name is Bruce Aitchison from the Happiness Is podcast. My happiness is egg-shaped, and I'm looking forward to meeting Tim in real life. We'll see you all again soon. Look after yourself.